Correct.
3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, welcome, Corey Thompson.
Oh, you suck. You just
I
suck at this.
do. You caught me right when I'm trying to turn off the button that says it's recording.
I'm
I'm the worst.
I'm stopping the audio, but I'll give you a 3, 2, 1, go. Everybody on video is going to see this nonsense, so they can see how unprofessional we are.
It's
But
only because you don't know how to edit a video.
I don't want to edit a video. So hey, everybody out there, we're going to start the audio again. Again, here we go. Here we go, Corey. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello. This is Corey Thompson, Dice Tower Now, Dice Tower Dish, AboveBoard TV.
And this is the Podfather of gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 289. We're recording it on September 6th, 2023. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network. And Tom Vassell acknowledged my existence here at Dice Tower Retreat. I was trying to cruise under the radar. It did not work. I wanted to go unnoticed by everyone. It did not work. Who am I kidding? I'm digging the Dice Tower Retreat. It's a great event, and I'm gaming like a fiend with everyone. So, but Corey, you are in a truly undisclosed, we'll disclose it right now, location. Corey, where are you and what are you doing? Tell us about the stuff you're doing here.
I am in Reykjavik, Iceland.
That is
crazy. It is so amazing here. I'm here for the Midgard Gaming Convention, which is Saturday and Sunday, the 9th and 10th of September. I arrived a little early. I'm playing around. I was walking around Iceland getting lox and pastries and coffee. And it is so nice here. It's a beautiful 50 degrees and sunny. Everybody's super nice. I cannot speak highly enough of Iceland.
That sounds great.
Well, next week I'll probably speak even more highly of Iceland. But we are also planning on filming the new Phil Walker Harding game, Oh No Volcano, on top of an Icelandic volcano.
All right, so you're going to be playing a game, the Phil Walker Harding game, on top of a volcano, about volcanoes on top
of a volcano.
AboveBoard TV.
I've hired a helicopter. They're taking us to the top of a volcano. And we didn't get to talk about it yet, but last week, my co-host Travis played Too Many Bones on a sunken shipwreck in the Bahamas, 50 feet underwater, surrounded by sharks.
Guess who saw the early raw footage of that dive while he was doing
However, did you see something like that?
I saw that because
you know a guy?
Travis Oates is here at Dice Tower Retreat. In fact,
he's showing everybody.
Yeah. Well, no, he only showed me. I'm sure he showed Tom or a couple of people, but it's astonishing. I mean, what I saw was astonishing.
So much better than I ever thought it would work. It was so cool.
And they're not in a cage. They're not in a shark cage. They are playing on top of a shipwreck where professionals have chummed the water. And the sharks are literally banging into them as they go around. And
did Travis tell you that they needed somewhere to put the chum bag, so they tied it to Travis's leg?
Of course, what possibly could go wrong
it brought
there?
The sharks in.
So all of this together just means you got to watch AboveBoard TV to see this nonsense when it drops. That'll probably be months out because they got to edit it. And of course, I did some footage for you. That I don't think we've mentioned yet. Maybe we did.
And that's all sent over to the editors.
So I can't wait. So
we'll see what happens there. I'm excited.
It's a little pre-shark gaming that I did for these guys and a bunch of other influencers.
All of my filming is either pre-shark or post-shark. That's really the only way to measure recording nowadays.
Awesome. So over here, so that was amazing. I mean, I don't have a lot. I mean, people think I have this wild. Yeah, people think I have a wild, crazy life.
I'm going to a volcano in 2 days, and my people swam with sharks a couple days ago. What are you doing, Steve?
Yeah, well, I can't beat that, I don't think, but I can say that you and I appeared on the quad, which is going to drop this week. So the quad episode 5.
I'm so excited.
Drops this week. I had mentioned 5 before, and that was not the Corey episode, but it's episode 5 drops this week, where we do should we tell them what we do? I know you loved the
No,
topic that we
it's a
picked.
secret.
Okay, it's a secret. You're going to see
It's
the
a
topic.
terrible topic.
He didn't like the topic, which was great, but it was a
No.
really good one, I think. But they're all good. They're all fun. As you know, the quad, we take one topic and then we each argue a different game. So you can see the quad. Go to Board Game Geek. Right on their front page under the announcements, you'll see the quad drop. By the time it should drop today on September 6th. So when this drops on the 13th, you should be able to see it on the front page, or go to the Board Game Geek YouTube channel and check out the quad and all of the episodes we've done. It's myself.
I had such a good time filming it. It was so amazing. I'm so excited.
Thank you, Corey. It's myself, it's Candace and Matthew McCack, and Corey was the guest host for that one. So awesome times for all. So as I mentioned, I just finished my trip, my very epic cruise that I left from New Jersey. Everybody wants to leave New Jersey, of course. And we traveled up New England and Canada, the Canadian Maritimes. We stopped in Boston. We stopped in Portland, Maine, Bar Harbor, Maine, St. John's, New Brunswick, and Halifax, Nova Scotia. It's really a great cruise for those in the Northeast.
Wow.
I had never been actually technically to any of those cities, even Boston, even though I lived only 5-hour drive out of Boston. I had never been to see Boston. I had flown in and driven away, and I did something that was outside of Boston and 30 years ago, but I'd never been there. Wonderful cities, all of them. Bar Harbor is really an amazing city. The food in all of these cities. I mean, you're getting like the best lobster and all the seafood you can possibly get. I always talk about how great it is in Florida. So now you're getting different seafood, of course. But I had a great time. And I did that cruise was 18 people, 12 close friends from New Jersey that, I hadn't seen them obviously very much. I don't see them very much anymore. And then like 6 adult kids who also, most of those were gamers too, and hanging out. We had the conference room, we gamed, we had a great time. And of course, all the other bad things that I do on cruises, like hang out in the bars and things like that. It was great time. Now here at Dice Tower Retreat, it's in Miami.
I so wanted to go.
Just started, basically. Yeah, we really wish you were here. We're missing you very much, but Iceland, that's pretty cool too.
It's a commute.
It's a commute. So doing a lot of gaming here and a lot of just hanging out with friends. I've played so far Archaeology, great little card game. Gap, even a smaller card game by Arcane Wonders, new release. Shadowhunters still holds up.
Classic,
20 years. 20 years later, Shadowhunters still holds up. I love it. It's like a little hidden trader, but it's like hidden role.
I think they're reprinting it.
I've heard that it's coming back out with a slightly different theme or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I taught Foundations of Rome. I can't get enough of that game, so I taught a group of 5 players that game. I played First Rat, and I taught it. I love First Rat. I played that with Camilla and Z of the Dice Tower. That was wonderful. Played Flamme Rouge and taught that one. I'm doing a lot of teaching here. And then I played a game of Seas of Havoc. Have you played this game?
No, I don't think I have.
Seas of Havoc. I never even heard of it. Rod Phelps brought the game.
I've heard of it. I remember it.
It's by a very small company, Rock Manor Games. They're a small company, I believe.
And they are, but they were recently acquired by Flat River, I believe.
There we go. So I played with Rod Phelps, Roy Cannaday of the Dice Tower, and Travis Oates. So the 4 of us played that, and literally there was a Travis sandwich going on where his ship was in the middle of everyone's ships, and he got blown up. I believe he ended up with negative victory points.
I love to hear. Did he turn into a shark-infested shipwreck at the bottom of the ocean?
Sort of. But it's a really fun, it's like testosterone filled, because basically you're deck building and kind of anti-deck building. When you take damage, your ship doesn't get destroyed. You just seed your deck with a -1 victory point card, which clogs your hand up and your deck up and stuff like that. Really interesting game. I want to get my hands on this or play this more, because I can see there's a bunch of ways to play it. I'm hoping very much to get in Mansions of Madness 2E at some point, maybe today. I've never played the new version of that game, and I hear it's a
Oh,
much better version of the
oh, it
original.
really is.
Yep. I'm playing a murder mystery game where I'm going to even dress up and role play this because that's what I like to do.
Of course you are.
Playing a John Lennon like character, because then when they showed me like the characters, I'm like, oh, I want this one, because the person who did the artwork obviously took a John Lennon picture and did it. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. So I bought a New York City t-shirt. I got some round glasses. It's going to be real fun. And then finally, the other thing I want to mention is that the Magic the Gathering Lord of the Rings Commander decks, I got to play it a couple of times on the cruise, and Roy Cannaday, who's also not only a big Lord of the Rings fan, also likes Magic, so he and I hopefully will get a chance to play that while I'm here. So fun going on here, fun going on in Iceland. But in the meantime, I think we better get to the event deck.
I just real quick want to apologize. Rock Manor was acquired by Asmodee, not Flat River.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Were they really? They're an Asmodee company now?
Yep. I'm the color commentary guy, 2021, April.
And I apologize for not remembering that. That production on Seas of Havoc is crazy. It's like you would never, because it's such a Kickstarter game. If you think about, like, they've got chests in the game that are made, and you had to build because they're made out of wood, like laser cut wooden pieces. So you have to build them. I don't know what they did with maybe there's another version out now, but wow, yeah, very, very cool. So now we'll get to the event deck. I hope Joshua gets that right and puts the event deck at the right, does the bumper there. Anyway, so the first thing we got here is you mentioned Flat River a moment ago incorrectly, but now we're going to say Flat River Group,
we all have our bad days,
who is a distributor in the United States and Canada, is now dropping their MSRP or SRP on multiple games, which is very interesting. They're dropping their prices. They are adjusting prices as shipping costs come back towards pre-pandemic levels. So Flat River Group has dropped their MSRP on multiple games across a number of different studios that they distribute. The SRP reduction comes as the cost of producing and transporting goods comes off of their COVID-19 pandemic highs. The studios who have games included in this price reduction are Encama, Greater Than Games, Horrible Guild, Yellow, and Sit Down. Price reductions range anywhere from 15 to 43%, with Assassin's Creed Brotherhood of Venice being the game with the most reduced SRP, from $140 to $80.
Nice.
And the price changes have just taken effect on September 1st. So this is interesting. So we're seeing companies, well, let's face it, Flat River did not make that decision. They don't. That's a decision made by the publishers. Now, they own Greater Than Games, so they made a decision for them. But anybody that they distribute, the company says, okay, we'll lower our suggested retail price because, they'll do some promotion for us and maybe we'll push more product and stuff like that. But I like the fact that we're seeing this because there were bumps in prices that were going on specifically due to the shipping costs associated with the pandemic. So it's nice to see a little rollback in all of that.
Yeah, it's nice. Too many times everything gets hyped up during the spiral when things are rough, and then they just leave it that way because they're making a lot of money. So kudos to Flat River Group.
Mm-hmm. So you put the next one in here, which is certainly not board game related, but
it's chess.
Yes.
So a while ago there was
a game. Yeah. It's a game. That's a memory game.
A while ago there was a news story about Magnus Carlsen, who's the current world chess champion. So Magnus Carlsen had accused Hans Niemann of cheating. And this is something that's come up in the news a lot. A lot of chess tournaments and chess games are played online. Cheating has become prevalent, I'm going to say, because computer chess programs are quite a bit better than human chess programs now humans for the most part. So Hans Niemann had accused Magnus Carlsen of cheating. I'm sorry, the other way around. Magnus had accused Hans Niemann of cheating, and Magnus Carlsen, the champion, had actually dropped out of tournaments with Hans Niemann saying, "Oh, this is a waste," and just walking away.
He literally,
So
I believe he literally
yeah,
made the first move and then just walked out and said resign.
he did. That
Yeah.
was the beginning of it. And then he publicly accused Niemann of cheating. Other people supported him. And then the big news was Hans Niemann sued Magnus Carlsen and the online platform chess.com, which hosts many of these tournaments. He had sued both of them for $100 million. So the news today is that they have settled. It's not written specifically as a legal term settlement, but something was arranged. And the news is that Hans Niemann, the young chess grandmaster accused of cheating in at least 2 major tournaments along with online matches, has dropped his $100 million lawsuit against fellow grandmasters Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura, along with the online platform and tournament host chess.com. So the lawsuit has been resolved in some manner.
My favorite part of this is that at the height of all of this, Niemann claimed that he would compete totally naked, which led to online rumors and theories that he hypothetically used Bluetooth-enabled vibrating anal beads to cheat. Wow, like, okay.
That's
pretty cool.
It was a joke. The whole thing about inserted mechanism was a joke that was put forward by one of the online chess communities, but too many people took it seriously, and that led Niemann to say, well, you examine me any way you want. Let's also put out there that Niemann admitted to cheating in 2 tournaments when he was younger. So that just fueled the fire.
Right. He admitted to some online cheating, but he said he's never cheated in an in-person game and hasn't cheated in whatever.
Never cheated for money or for position.
Yeah. So I find this fascinating because Magnus Carlsen is arguably the greatest all-time chess player, which is a big statement to make because there's been some people who are so good and have such a reputation. Obviously,
he is ridiculously good.
Obviously, Garry Kasparov comes up as one of the greatest. Bobby Fischer, who was mentally odd, special, but unbelievable to the point where like his opponents at end of games would stand up and applaud him because he was so good at what he did.
He would say very rude things to them and make everybody upset.
and then he would he was certifiably crazy. He really was. But with genius comes insanity, right? It's a razor's edge of those kind of two things.
True.
Anyway,
that's
go because it's like you're kind of genius and insane. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is the point here is what is the final thing? I mean, if they've settled this thing, but did anybody admit? Was there money changed hands?
I bet there was money exchanged. So I have a little bit of insider knowledge.
So did Carlsen have to pay him?
It's not about cheating anymore. It's about slander and libel.
Yeah,
it's about reputation.
I find this fascinating. I'm going to do more research because even though chess is not in our main area, right? It is a
There's
game. It's
a lot of
game.
crossover, sure.
Yeah, sure. Very, very interesting. So here's the wonderful story and a sort of a conclusion, though I'm sure we're going to have more. This is about the Magic the Gathering cards that were stolen at Gen Con, and the Indiana Police Department worked with the New York City Police Department to recover all the Magic cards that were stolen. Simultaneously, lawyers for the 2 persons of interest worked with the Indianapolis Police Department to basically say, okay, well, let's figure out how we're going to do this because they were caught red-handed on every camera. Not the smartest thieves in the world. And at this point, I don't even have to say alleged anymore because these guys have now been charged officially. With the theft, and the amount of cards, which was originally reported to be 160,000, was 300,000, is now been brought down to 160,000 of
No. There's 2 different numbers that are flying around in the news reports. They keep saying $190,000 as a number because that's the limit on what accounts for felony theft. The cards still are valued close to 300,000.
In this article that I'm looking at,
Okay.
which is coming from the local Indianapolis ABC affiliate, total retail value of the stolen product is 195,652, and total replacement value 157,120. The point is, it's a major felony. It's a class level 5 felony.
Yes.
And it's these two game designers, Thomas Dunbar and Andrew Gaume of New York City, have officially now been charged with these crimes. I did not
felony theft level 5.
Yeah. I have not read that they're in custody or anything like that, and that might be the whole thing. So the lawyers have negotiated that they can stay
I watched
not in custody. Don't know.
Yeah. I watched the news report out of the Indianapolis channel, and they also said that there was a tip called into the police from a Gen Con attendee who had heard about the theft. And this anonymous person called in and said that he essentially knew where the cards were and had located them, maybe through secondary selling or something like that. And he tipped off the police as to how to recover the cards. So I thought that was really an interesting part of it.
Absolutely amazing. And I feel terrible, that we have to report on things like that, but I think it's important. I mean, I think, we in general need to police our industry, right? We want bad actors to be out. So we have to report on things like this. Sad that these two game designers of Castle Assault, did this.
Yeah.
So,
well, we have such a trusting community. What
do.
bothers me the most is Gen Con and other major conventions, everybody just helps everybody out. And if someone is in that back room, you assume they are one of your fellow workers and they're doing their thing and you're doing yours. And you're more than happy to help anybody out who says they need a hand to move something or a table, or can you look at this for a second? Or, it's such a nice community back there. I hate to hear stories like this.
Yep. Yeah. And just to continue on that thought, for years, at Stronghold, I had people who would help me with logistics at Origins and Gen Con. At one point, it was Chessex. They were doing logistics for multiple companies and just sharing the costs. Then Catalyst Games, Lauren Coleman, president of Catalyst Games, he had huge trucks that he would go out, rent, and everybody would put their stuff in. And then he'd store the stuff and you'd pay for the storage, for between the year after year of your tables and maybe even some games and stuff like that. It's an amazingly great community. So we have to keep that wonderfulness together and hopefully weed out the bad actors.
And focus on the good.
Focus on the good ones. So Embracer Group, parent company of Asmodee, is closed video game developer Volition. Yeah. So for old school video game people, Volition was the company that originally made the 3D fully 6 Degrees of Freedom video game called Descent, which was game-changing for me at the time. Now, we're not talking about Fantasy Flight board game Descent. Right.
We're talking about a game where you were a spaceship and you had full 6 degrees of movement around inside these tunnels trying to shoot the other guy. It was a follow-up to Doom, super popular. And then they went on to do, like I rudely interrupted you in the middle of, they went on to do Saints Row series of video games as well. So Volition was a foundational company, and they posted an update that this past June, Embracer Group announced a restructuring program to strengthen Embracer and maintain its position as a leader in the video game industry. As part of that program, they evaluated strategic and operational goals and made the difficult decision to close Volition effective immediately. So,
I mean, and that's pretty interesting. They're in the process of consolidating, right? Every big company, after going through acquisition after acquisition after acquisition, and that's all that Embracer did, and that's all that Asmodee did. They did so little just development on their own. They were just acquiring. Now, especially with their $2 billion hit they took from the company that did not, the Saudi company that did not come in and make that deal. They're now saying, okay, put the brakes on the acquisitions. Let's consolidate. And Volition, for whatever reason, was, one of their studios in their E group, right, in their e-gaming group, that they said that they needed to get rid of, and maybe there'll be some of their people coming to different studios. Who knows? But that's a shame. But it's normal.
That they're finding new jobs for their people who've been with Volition, and everybody's doing okay. They're working it all out.
That's great. That is really, really cool. And I believe that's the end of the news for this week. Sort of a light news week, but some very interesting stories. Nonetheless, let's get over to strategy and tactics. All right. So I have still done very bad by everybody, and I have not reached out to everybody about the prizes.
Come on, man.
You heard people. I know it's travel, it's this, and it's laziness. So I will blame me being lazy. But Mad Halfling actually got back to me with his information. So thank you very much, Mad Halfling, for doing that. I will take care of going out to everybody. I got a little note in my thing, and I'll go out and I'll say, give me your addresses. We're going to ship you some stuff. So thank you, everybody, for your patience there. Thank you for your questions. Even thank you, Jeremy Baker, who's going to be our first question here at Fancy Pants. He gives us a ridiculous question, but I'll take it anyway. I know Jeremy. He's a known pain in my ass. Jeremy, I love you. With all the new replies, it is now the distant future. What is the board game industry like? Has Corey been taken over by a giant media conglomerate? Is the Podfather still retired? Has Ignacy gotten over his fear of flying? The answers are too long to answer. No, yes, no. Let's move on.
Perfect.
Definitely.
That's what the conglomerate told me to say.
Definitely no to Ignacy getting over his fear of flying, and definitely yes to the Podfather being retired, regardless of any little business things I might be involved with.
You are the busiest retired guy.
You're retired too, so don't even talk. Jeff, who's at The Wise Goat on BGG, when are you going to get new intro, outro, and transition voiceovers that add Corey into them? Given that there are a full page of questions that have been added in the past few days, I'm hoping the answer will end up being at least 6 months ago. Well, guess what?
When?
So, first of all, as you can see, this was added on May 20th, this question, and it's being taken in September. So you can see we're moving through questions because we have so many new questions. We're going to do it, and it's going to be pretty soon. I have to engage Ray Greenlee, our wonderful voiceover guy, and we'll add Corey into some of these things. Maybe he's still an intern, but no, he's not.
Am I still temping? Is this a working interview?
It's a work interview. That's exactly right, my friend. But
we will quit the second you make new voiceovers. I'm out.
And then it'll charge me, and then Ray will then charge me even more money to do more of them. That's it. Actually, Ray has never charged me a dime. He's an amazing guy, a friend of mine from New Jersey. So thank you, Ray. I think I probably should pay you for the next set of voiceovers because, well, you deserve it. Andres Silzens, he's at GT99. I think might be his first question. I don't remember his name. You were very enthusiastic about the speculative market of Lorcana cards from the Disney event. You reported that they are available for thousands of dollars on eBay. Somehow you find it very astonishing. Why? A few episodes later, you were mesmerized by the $500,000 Black Lotus cards. What is so captivating about this card outside the overblown price? How do Magic the Gathering card hoarders, aka investors, benefit the board game industry or gamers? Isn't Economics 101 extra demand increases prices responsible? How does it compare to NFTs or other economic bubbles? Am I wrong and these bubbles are net positives for the industry and consumers? Well, that's a big question.
Wow, there's a lot of questions.
A lot to unpack there. So in general, he's asking, I think, what's our fascination by these cards? Does it help the industry or not? Why is a Black Lotus a $500,000 card? I'm going to answer that one very specifically, very quickly, and then we can unpack. The Black Lotus card, which was only printed, I'm pretty sure in the alpha edition of Magic the Gathering, the first printing, maybe it was in beta as well, but for the moment, alpha edition was the most broken card of all time. If you play Magic,
it was incredibly powerful.
You play it for 0 cost and it generates 3 mana, which if you get this card out in the first turn, you're going to be bringing out big things the first couple of turns. Anyway, so it became a legendary card on all of these Lotus cards because they were all kind of broken. And then they immediately, of course, got thrown out of the sets because you can't have cards that aren't balanced with other cards. That's the whole premise of games, right? You want a certain
and that fame
balance.
Just kind of drove itself. The inertia made the Black Lotus the most famous of the big 9 Magic cards. So I think the price has just stayed high because it's famous for being a Black Lotus.
Right. I didn't know there were a big 9, but I know it's probably Black Lotus, Mox Lotus.
The Power 9 there's 9 cards that are generally the most valuable Magic cards for resale value.
Right. And nobody plays with these cards. They collect them. There's nothing wrong with it. Does it help? Talk about that. Do any of this stuff help
say
the industry?
Definitely yes, because anything that has people talking about it is going to make people interested in the industry. If you hear a news story that some board game you've never heard of has sold for $2 million to Post Malone, you're going to be interested in this game. You're going to say, wow, what is the fascination? What's going on? What is the story? And any attention like that, which is positive attention, is going to bring people into the industry. So I think that it is positive.
You hit it on the head, right? You hear this, and all of a sudden, wow, well, what's going on in the world of Magic? Again, let me go check this out. So it's going to help Magic, certainly, and collectible card games. Lorcana is basically, and the hype around that is basically all of a sudden saying, whoa, there's another collectible card game out there now.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to check this out, Oh, I have children who are of Disney loving age, ergo, let me buy some of these and play with my kids. I'll make them into gamers. And is this a good, look at it. It's a pretty good game.
And just as a reminder, Lorcana caused nearly a riot at Gen Con. It sold a tremendous number of cards. The lines were the biggest Gen Con's ever seen. And in the past week, Lorcana hit retail where it instantly sold out. And Ravensburger has said that they are putting that reprint train on strong and heavy, and they're going to have new sets printed by beginning of the year.
Right. And that's a news story we actually didn't put in that we could have, is that Ravensburger announced they are reprinting already. So,
well, no one's surprised.
No one's surprised. Well, I mean, there are people who are saying that this is not going to last for more than 3 sets or something like that. And I disagreed. And the reason I disagree strongly is that Disney is a force to be reckoned with in and of itself.
We've brought in a whole new demographic. We brought in the Disney collectors, the Disneyana people.
This is going to be sold everywhere in all their parks and all their stores, and people are going to hear about it, and they're going to be promoting it. They're bigger than everybody. They make Hasbro look like a one-off game company. That's how big they are.
I think Lorcana is going to fade from the gamer viewpoint. I don't think this trading card game was ever made for gamers. I think it's going to stay viable in the Disney collector and the novice, I've never played a game before, people. But I think it's going to fade from the BGG crowd.
I agree. But the BGG crowd, us, will, if we have kids, if we hang out with young players, we'll continue to play it in that regard. But we're not going to care about possibly collectability. We might, if I had kids and I was playing with them and I found that I had an ultra rare card in that pack, I might say, you don't want to play with this one. We'll put that one in a thing and I'll sell it for $100 or $1,000.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a very good discussion, but I think we agree that in general, this stuff helps the industry, helps people talking about the games.
Yeah.
Andres Solzens again at GTT99, he now asks, I asked ChatGPT to break down price of a book in percentage. The answer was 8 to 15% to the author, 10 to 15% to the publisher, 10 to 15% to the distributor, and 40 to 50% to the retailer. Then I asked about physical music, and he's giving percentages of this, like, you know, what percentages go to each one of the levels, right? This is
Yes.
tiered sales. It's a distribution model that is started with books, and then it was music. From what I have heard, including you, excuse me, board game industry have this: game designer 1 to 2%, not true. We'll go into this. Publisher 25 to 35%, distributor 25 to 30%, retailer 30% to 35%. I chose these three industries because there is almost always a single or small group of authors for this product. Publisher has similar responsibilities. True, true, true. Do designers feel they're getting a fair share in general? And I always thought the distributor cut is more than I was expecting to see. These numbers confirm it. Why do board game distributors share is twice as much as other industries? Sorry about my bad reading there, but this is, I'm reading it from a non-native speaker, so I'm trying to interpret things there. But thank you, Andres, for this question. It is very interesting. So here is how it works, right? If you look at the MSRP as 100%, okay, as 100%, the meaning, okay, it's a $50 game, or maybe we even say it's a $100 game. When we produce that game and we sell it as a publisher, we sell it to a distributor for 40% of that number, who then sells it for 10%, a markup, to a retailer, who then sells it for the full MSRP. So we're getting the first percentage. The publisher is getting a percentage of that based on their getting 40% of the MSRP, right? That's what we're getting out of the distributor. We have to take all of our costs out of that. Okay. So we take all of the costs of the production of the game, includes the art, the shipping, and all that, and we pay the designer. So he's not getting, or she is not getting paid on the MSRP. They're getting paid on our cut of the game. And I'd have to chart this out.
Publisher.
Our being the publisher. I'm talking from a publisher perspective. But those other numbers were actually relatively similar to what you were seeing in all of those things. Now, we'd have to say a percentage of a percentage equals a smaller number, but you have to remember who takes the risk in this whole thing. Now, it's the publisher.
It's true, but the other thing I'm going to add to this is it's incredibly variable. Publishers don't all work from the same book. So every publisher, and for every different game, will individually contract what percentage they're going to pay to the designer, for example. So, and certain designers command bigger prices and certain designers don't. Certain games command bigger prices. If a game looks really, really hot and exciting, the publisher is going to put more money into buying the designer's game. So the percentage to the designer is all over the place and is really kind of crazy variable.
All of those other numbers, though, are fairly consistent, right? There's an MSRP. Yeah. The retailer is going to buy it for half-ish of that MSRP. The distributor is going to buy it for 40% of that MSRP. And then it's the publisher who's got to produce it, who's got to pay for all the costs and pay the designer for their amount that they're going to get. You're right that designers are all over the place. The youngest designers, the newest, I should say. I'm an old guy who's a new designer. I got a small amount of money from Asmodee. I won't tell you how much, but it was a small amount of money. It also has an IP on it, so it was fine. We did negotiate more than their original. I was like, guys, come on, this really, I'm going to promote this. Anyway, so we got a small amount. They will sell a lot of the game, hopefully, so our take won't be too bad. But if you are Alan Moon, if you are Rob Davio, Matt Leacock, Eric Lang,
you're just going to command a bigger price from a publisher.
Get a bigger number, and it's simple as that, because your game will probably sell just based on that. It's all
from the other direction. If I'm a designer and I have a game, I'm going to actively sell it to publishers, and different publishers may bid different amounts of money to try to get my game with them.
So he mentions here at the end of this is a new game designer I heard can expect 5% of publishers' profits from the game. Not exactly. 5% of net revenue. I might make nothing on a game. I might make zero on a game, but you're always, as a designer, yes, the newer publishers will get about 5% net revenue, and that is defined as revenue. You're the gross amount you take in. We call it net revenue because you can take some out for some types of expenses. I never did. It literally, if I made $1 on a game, if I brought in $1 on a game and the designer was getting 5%, they get 5 cents. So I would always do it that way. I want the designers to be recognized for what they do. I had the Great Designer Series. I'm all about the designers. They do an amazing job. Now that I am one, it's a lot of work, and I don't like work. So it's a lot. There's a lot of work that goes into making this fun. It really is. So
And
thank you,
again,
designers.
all of it is contracted in different ways. So designers will contract percentage of the sales. They'll also contract on how long until they get the rights to the game back. Do they ever get the rights to the game back? There's a lot of pieces to that percentage that they get paid. There might be a flat out amount that they're paid for selling the game, and then a smaller percentage later, or there might not be, or it might all be percent. It's all over.
Right. Andrew Walters, he's at the Dusty Shadow. He asks us, how would you complete this statement? There are 2 types of board gamers in the world. ... Corey, you want to take the first shot?
Those with peanut butter and those without.
Really? Really?
I don't know. 2 types of board game players.
There are 2 types of board game players in the world. Is that what I said? 2 types of board gamers?
Yeah.
2 types of board game players in the world. I'll go if you want. I know.
No. I'll take it. But I'm going to cheat. I've always said that there's 3. There's people who play games to win. There are people who play games to explore the game. And there are players who play games to be social.
I like that. I would have tongue-in-cheek said there are people who like to have fun and people who don't. meaning you just want to play these heavy things that just burn your brain and you know,
are so wrong, Boncore.
solve puzzles that but you can extend
which is fun. That is fun.
It's not fun to be gaming and hurting your head while you're doing it.
Those games. I love those games.
Not,
I have fun. I never feel better than when I've solved a very difficult puzzle that was a lot of work. And then it is fun.
And I will play Thunder Road Vendetta with everybody else out there, and we're gonna have crazy freaking fun
calculus, and it is fun.
You're a wackadoodle. Andrew then asks us, I'd actually be more interested from the 3 of you, sorry, only 2 of us here today, in a slightly more granular categorization. How about there are, insert reasonably small number, types of board gamers in the world. So he's, Andrew,
he anticipated me being stubborn.
How many different types of board gamers? I mean, you're nailing it when you say people who just play games to have fun. People who play games because it's a social thing, and I'm definitely in those categories. People who want to solve big, heavy puzzles. I don't know that I can think of a lot.
There really is a big category of people who are in it for the competition.
Oh yeah.
It might be fun, it might not be fun, but what they're there for is to win.
Yeah, that's not a gamer I want to play with. I mean, in general, I don't. I get it. I play games, and it's very specific. I play games for the experience of the game. In fact, somebody here said, "Hey, I heard you love Betrayal at House on the Hill. Can we play it this weekend?" I'm like, yes, we can. I love the game. No matter how broken it was back in the day, that the 3rd edition is great.
But I thought you played games to have fun.
You're a jerk. Let's take another one from Chris Dupree, who's at C. Dupree. With the advent of generative AI, will board game publishers / author sites deploy more generative prevention techniques like using glaze for images to prevent generation of a given art style for their board games and robot.text to limit access web crawling to certain parts of the site? Wow, this is a deep question about AI that I only understand half of, and I'm in IT. I don't know what glaze is. What is that? Did you know what that is? Oh, you're looking it up right now. I see you looking it up.
Glaze, yeah. I knew about it. Glaze is basically a protective mechanism they use for art assets to try to protect art from being stolen by AI.
Okay,
and it basically it uses you've heard that AI cannot handle certain kinds of art, and if you ask AI to analyze certain kinds of art, it just kind of freaks out and makes mistakes, and it tries to take advantage of those loopholes to find AI generated art.
Yeah, so I mean, so his question is specifically, will board game publishers do this? And the very fast answer to that is, I think no. If we, again, I use we because I always put that board game publishing hat back on, right? So as a board game publisher, we're going to have our whatever, we're going to have our art out and whatever. We don't care if people are skimming it to generate stuff. I can see, of course, sites like DeviantArt and other sites that have lots and lots of people's art. Sure, taking ways of preventing any stealing, sort of. Now,
yeah, I think the artists might take advantage of it.
Now I've had, and I think we've already talked about this, my very good friend Bill Bricker, who was the chief illustrator and graphic designer at Stronghold, still is. He has said that all of this AI generated art, all of AI with art is a tool to use. It's not, you can generate that art, but he's still, as the illustrator, who's going to use it, and then he's still going to paint on top of it and do other things around it. So I don't think AI is the end of the world for artwork.
No,
I don't.
You can take an extension of the argument, and you can say, if I take an art program and tell it to generate a gradation of blue, is that cheating because I did not paint in every shade of blue? And you can extend that argument saying that AI is basically a really damn good gradient generator.
It's something that we're going to be dealing with for a long time. So we have to figure out how to embrace this. And I'm not fearing it in general, and that means AI in general. I'm not fearing it yet.
And that's how Skynet gets started.
That's how the robots rise to kill us all. And with that cheerful thought, let's get down to playtesting. All right, Corey, last week, I believe you asked a question. So why don't you take it away and we'll go from there.
Just throwing me right under the bus.
Well, you asked the question. It's right there in the show notes. So just answer it again, for goodness sake. You want me to read it?
Go ahead. You like reading. Yes, I can read it.
Go for it.
Should Board Game Geek ratings be based on morality or current events, or should they be purely involved with game merit and worth?
So I'm going to pick a few representative ones out of this. Jeff McDonald, he's told us that game rating should be based on gameplay only. Personally, I rate games based on my likelihood to play that game again. I've seen others that break down their ratings into categories like art, design, gameplay, etc. That's always been my opinion. If you play the game, rate the game. Don't start putting ratings on it when you never, you don't play it. I mean, play the game, then rate the game. Rate it from your perspective. Don't be mean to somebody.
To be fair, I know that with this question, I was preaching to the converted. We got an overwhelming amount of answers that are, exactly what I thought, which would be, the ratings should be about the game. And we've got, what's really interesting are the discussions that are coming out of it, of how to rate. Because honestly, the BGG ratings are very important to designers and to publishers. They use them to predict what to do next, and designers use them as a selling point for their next games.
Yep, absolutely. Other things here. Mike Dando, game rating should be about the game and your enjoyment of it. That is, of course, subjective and comes with its own bias, as it does every opinion. If you have an issue with the company or the game, then I believe there are other ways to show your displeasure in a more constructive way and hopefully meaningful way, right? Like, don't buy it. don't play it. Burn it on a video if you'd like. I mean, ratings are, what do you think about the game? I think that's the way it should be.
And I thought there's one from Evan Halbert that I thought summed it up really well, short and sweet and to the point. It's a super tough question. I don't mind that individuals get to decide how they determine rating, however they want. But I've definitely seen some ratings based on circumstances outside the game itself that I didn't personally feel were appropriate. That's really the bottom line.
Absolutely. So I think we had a fairly consistent view of this, and hopefully people are not rating ones just for the sake of driving things down.
We know they do.
But they shouldn't. But they shouldn't.
All right. And that's why I threw the question out there.
That's it. So this week, I put up a question here, which I actually put it up a couple of weeks ago.
I know I bumped you last time.
Yeah, you bumped me because it was very topical. And this week's question is for everybody out there to answer for us. Whether you go to 10 game conventions and events per year, like Corey and I do, or you have never gone to one in your entire life, which one game convention or event which you have not yet attended would you like to attend in the future? That is, what is your bucket list game convention or event? What has stopped you from going yet? Time, money, fear, you don't want to see Bonacor, etc. So, Corey, do you have a bucket list game convention that you're dying? Maybe you're at it right now.
I do. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm going to go to Midgard in Iceland. Come on, freaking Iceland.
That's pretty cool, man.
But really cool. There's a really cool convention that I've heard about for years. Bruno Faiduti basically takes over a small town in France and does his own convention in this little town. And people stay in houses of the locals and just kind of live in the town for a week and play board games. And it sounds like an amazing environment. It's mostly in French. So, and I don't know French, not even on peut. So, but the whole idea of that is just fascinating to me. So that's very interesting. There's also like Lyra and Air and a lot of these European conventions that I haven't done yet.
I've been invited to Bruno's convention. It's his gathering of friends. I think that's even what he calls it, Bruno's gathering of friends.
I didn't remember what the actual name of it was.
Yeah.
Daryl Andrews was talking it up big time.
It's supposed to be really cool, and you just basically drink great French wines and cheese all the time. It sounds like
terrible.
It sounds really, really cool.
What's yours, Stephen?
So and you mentioned a bunch of really good ones too. You mentioned Lyricon in Portugal. I hear that's an amazing one.
Yeah.
That like my good buddy Uli Blenneman goes to all the time. He does some great research. There's a great number of Portuguese game designers out there, and they all gather there, and other people as well. You mentioned AirCon in the UK. I forgot where exactly. Somebody mentioned that. Oh, Mark Cook recently saw him at Gen Con. He said, you got to go. And I'm like, well, and when I'm invited as a guest of honor, I'll certainly be there. But I hear it's a really good one. But I think the one I'm going to say is the big one out in Australia, whose name is escaping me. The name is escaping me right now, and I apologize. But I want to go to Australia. What better way to go to hit a game con on the way there?
There's the Australasian Gaming Expo and there's PAX Australia.
No, it's neither of those, I don't think. No. Oh my God. I am really apologizing now to my Australian friends. And somebody actually said, we're going to make this happen, Bonaco. We're going to get you here and we're going to make you a guest of honor. So to my Australian friends out there,
there's a MeepleCon in Melbourne.
Maybe it was that. Oh no, that's killing me now. But anyway,
making it worse. I
know you're making it worse on me. I'm going to get out to an Australia game convention. By the way, do you know that Zev, our good buddy Zev, when he owned Z-Man Games, he went out to this convention I'm thinking of in Australia, and he literally credited that convention with how extra popular the Z-Man games were in Australia because he was going there and he was promoting it, and people would shake his hand and play games with him and all
Zev is
that.
such a great guy. He promotes better than anybody.
Absolutely. So Australia, I'm coming, and maybe UK again. That would be kind of cool. Invite me. There's a chance that we can make that happen.
Is this all? You're just trying to get an invitation to Australia.
Oh, well, absolutely. Well, that sounds like a good idea. But
should invite me first. Me first.
Both of us. We can do an episode there.
I used to live in Sydney. Invite me.
Did you really?
A little bit.
For like a day. Yeah, I lived in a hotel.
No, my dad taught at the University of Sydney.
Very, very, very cool. Well, everybody, I just placed this question because I could do that so fast into a thread on Board Game Geek. So please go to that thread and give us your answer to this question. What is that one con you've never been to yet that you'd like to go to? Now, let's get over to final scoring. Thank you all so much for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts. Or you can watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. You want to hear this? You want to be part of this? Really? You want to be? Okay. Go over Go ask us questions for strategy and tactics by posting them in the correct thread on Board Game Geek, and also answer our question to you for our play testing segment by going there and finding that thread. The websites, portalgamesus.com, podfathergaming.com, dicetowerdish.com, and on social media, Facebook, like our pages, /BoardGamesInsider, /PortalGamesUS, and /PodfatherGaming. Speak directly to Ignacy, Corey, and Steven, Twitter and Instagram, @PortalGamesUS, @PodfatherGaming, @DicetowerDish, @DicetowerNow. Those active YouTube channels are Portal Games Movies, The Podfather of Gaming, and AboveBoard TV. TikTok, Ignacy's Dancing, Portal Games US. We can't wait to see you in 2023. Hopefully, I'm seeing you here this week. I'll be at Essen. We're going to announce a meetup in Essen. We got to work that out with Ignacy. We're going to do a meetup there. That'll be great.
I'll be there.
Corey's going to be there, so we'll bring him in too. I think that'll be great. The three of us do a meetup with everybody. If you want to bring me some beer, that's cool. If you want to bring Ignacy cookies, that's less cool, but he'll accept them.
Oh, I need to think of something for people to bring me.
And if you want to bring like fish for Corey, he'll accept like rotting fish.
Thank you.
Our podcast, Board Games Insider, was professionally edited by Joshua Bowman from Tabletop Submarine. If you want him to edit your podcast, reach out to him and discuss it. tabletopsubmarine@gmail.com. And that great voice you hear doing the intro, outro, and in between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. You can contact him to do all your voiceover work, raygreenleevoiceover.com. Do you have anything you want to add here as a final note to our friends? Anything?
I'm going to be on a volcano in 2 days. I'm editing videos of board games with sharks. I mean, what else can I add? Well, let me just real quick say my schedule in Europe. I am currently in Iceland. From here, I'm going to Helsinki, then to Vienna, then to Munster, then to Bremen, then to Berlin, then to Copenhagen, and then to Essen. Tiny little trip.
You're just doing they're all vacations and not for work, right? All that?
They're all business.
Seriously?
Yes, all business, all the time. I'm hanging out with Julian Steindorfer, who's the publishing company, doing challengers. I'm going to hang out with Pfister and with Varsh. I'm going to meet up with some Polish people. Vince from Lucky Duck is coming out. I'm meeting with Dized in Helsinki to talk about their app. And I'm working the Dice Tower booth at Essen.
Well, I can't wait to have more information about this trip because
I'm retired.
It really does sound like you are working hard. I didn't know that you were technically like working that whole trip.
It's all fun.
All right. Well, I'm just going to be at the World Series of Board Gaming, in 2 weeks. So I didn't mention that during my thing. So hopefully I'll see some people there from here at the World Series of Board Gaming. They just dropped the extracurricular events that are going to go on, like after hours events, and they're all like awesome. So much fun. So I can't wait to hang out with people. In the meantime, take care, everybody. We'll see you again soon.
See y'all later.